So remember when I said I was starting seeds indoors? I did, just a little bit later than planned. Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Chris and this is Thankfully Packed. So if you're new here, I share my plant wins, my plant fails, and today really feels like it's gonna be a little bit of both, so let's dive into it. So if you missed my original seed starting video, you can check it out right here. This is where it all began. A little bit behind schedule, but we're making progress now. Oh, and disclaimer, in case you don't want to check out this video or in case you're just browsing, I am a beginner, so I don't have the best tips. I'm just honestly going through it with you guys and figuring out as I go. Honestly, I appreciate your input. If you are more of an experienced gardener, feel free to leave me kind but helpful comments below because I can use any suggestions and tips that I can get. I'm all about learning from my mistakes, and again, this is my first year, so anything I am too late to fix now, I can just try next year. So again, leave them below and let's keep it positive and planty. So here they are, my seedlings, all cozied up under the lights, trying their best, just like me. So they're currently living under one of my main houseplant shelves. It's actually the shelf that I film in front of most of the time, and I added 3 rows of grow lights. So let's start with what I am most excited about, which are my tomatoes. I love tomatoes, and look, every single cell sprouted something. Now, clearly I see that some are doing some weird things, like this one's super tall, which is leggy. I think because in my last video, like I said, I started them and I wasn't too sure how far away the light should be to the seedlings before they sprouted and kind of like during germination. So they did get kind of stretched out looking for the light. Learned my lesson, I got them closer to the light and I started adjusting based on how tall they were going, but at this point I think that these need to be potted up and I need to separate some of these because they're super close together, like these two. I think I'm going to put them in their own kind of upgraded pot so that they can keep developing roots and grow some yummy tomatoes. So I'm going to be doing that today. My plan is to transfer a lot of these seedlings into a bigger pot now that they have established themselves, I hope, and basically continue growing them inside until I feel like they're good enough to put outside. So what do we have here? I'm looking at the leaves and I see 2 types. I see the seed leaves and the true leaves. So the seed leaves are just these little basic ones down here. The first ones that sprout up to, get the plant started. Right there. They're usually at the bottom of the stem. And then we have the true leaves, which is what the plant is going to resemble more when it's growing and, bearing fruit or vegetables or whatever it is. So right here is the true leaf, and down here, this little basic one is the seed leaf. So that's a sign that these can be up-potted at this point. Honestly, I probably should have done this a lot sooner because some of these have extra pairs of true leaves. So at least 2 pairs of true leaves, you're good to go. And yeah, some of these have multiple pairs, and I think they're getting even more crowded in here. So let me just check the roots real quick. Oh yeah. Okay, so as you can see, I do have some roots in here. Okay, so I think we're good to go. I feel like that's definitely enough to up-pot. And this is the size of the cells they're in. And keep in mind there's, for the most part, 2 plants in each of these. So I'm going to upgrade them to, where are my little ones? I'm going to upgrade them to this size, which is already bigger. Since I'm separating it, it'll have that much more space. I want to keep every single seedling that I grew because I want a lot of tomatoes, so I'm going to try my best to be gentle, but I heard that tomatoes are one of the more resilient ones, so you can not necessarily be super rough, but you can still separate them and not worry too much about damaging them. And I saw that I can fix the legginess for the tomatoes by potting them deeper in the soil, like this one. I don't know if you can see, but all the tomato stems have these little hairs on them, and from that, I can get more roots. So I'm gonna try to plant them a little deeper in here so that they're not so leggy. Okay, so I have this extra bag of seed starting mix. It's not the same one I used in my last video, but I bought 2 different varieties for whatever reason. It's basically all the same stuff. So since I'm still a little behind and my seedlings are kind of young, I am going to be, like I said, up-potting them into here, but I'm still gonna be using seed starting mix instead of the soil that I'll be using when they go outside. However, I do think I'm going to be possibly using a diluted fertilizer just to get them growing a little bit stronger and bigger while they're indoors. So first I'm going to up-pot and then I'll figure out the fertilizer. And I learned my lesson from the last time I tried using seed starting mix. It was so hydrophobic. It was repelling every single bit of water I had. So I'm going to just soak it a little bit first. Not super wet because again, I am going to feed it with some more water that has some fertilizers. So I just kind of want this to not completely repel all the water. All right, that should maybe be good. I don't know, we'll see. Last time I did this, I also thought I had enough soil ready, and I didn't, but we'll get there when we get there. Okay, it's nice and damp now, so I think that's good. So since I didn't plant a lot to begin with, I'm actually going to be uppotting every single one in here, even the ones that probably don't look as good as some of these ones with stronger, bigger leaves and stronger stems, because honestly, I just want to increase my chances of growing anything. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do this year. Maybe next year I'll plant more and I'll be able to be more selective on what I actually end up using, but for now, they all stay. So I'm going to start with the tomato, the beefsteak ones right here. Okay, I'm trying to be gentle because the roots are coming out from the bottom and I don't want to rip them. Okay, so let's see. Okay. Okay, so this is what we're working with here. I'm going to just separate them now. Yay! Okay, this one's got a lot more roots than this one next to it, but like I said, I'm gonna be attempting to grow both. I think they'll both be okay. I am gonna try to pot them a little deeper though, because yeah, this stem is super, super leggy. I'm gonna start with this one first. Okay. I feel like I can probably bury these seed leaves, but I'm just gonna go right up to where they begin, right there. Okay, there's one. Honestly, I feel like I can go even a little deeper on this one, so I'm gonna redo it. Okay, yeah, I think that'll sit closer to where the base of the stem is now, or where the new base is gonna be, rather. And I'm not too worried about the soil being too close to the edge and causing an overflow of water if I water it, because I'm going to be watering from the bottom, so that should not, in theory, be a problem. Like normally you would want to leave like some space between the soil top and the top of your pot, but I don't think that's going to be an issue here. So there we go. Okay, number 2. Perfect. Okay, so real quick before I keep going, since I only have the one label that says beefsteak tomato, it's kind of inefficient, but I'm going to have to redo it every single time because I will 100% mix these up and forget which one it is. I'm going to pause real quick just to make all the labels so that I don't have to keep opening and closing the pen cap. Okay. These are actually all the same variety. They're the super sweet ones. So I'm just gonna separate them and basically rinse and repeat. Since they're all the same, I'm not too worried about mixing them up. So I'm just going to kind of gently dump them out here. Honestly, I might just remove these. Yeah, I'm just gonna take these off. Probably should have snipped it, but it's fine. Okay, so this one is not buried as deeply as I would have liked, but you know what? It is what it is. And at least with the super sweet tomatoes, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. So even if this one doesn't end up being the strongest or the best, I think I'm gonna be okay. Okay, so these are all the tomatoes from that one tray. This is my second tray of tomatoes. I'm growing the Aunt Molly's ground cherry right here. This is the Sun Gold, and this is the Bush Early Girl. So it's so funny because you can clearly see which ones are probably gonna make it and which ones maybe are stunted. So right here, this is the Aunt Molly's ground cherry. So these both look pretty okay considering when I started. They have sets of true leaves growing, and the stems are about the same length and everything. But then this one back here, I don't know what happened. Maybe I just didn't get enough light. I don't know. But look how small this one is compared to right here. These are the same ones, by the way, same type of tomatoes. So honestly, I might leave this one alone. I'm not going to take it out because like, what's the point? It's not competing for space because the other seed that I put in here did not germinate. So I'm going to just leave it and hope for the best. But these two I am going to separate. And then on this one, you can see an even better example of some much healthier growth versus some stunted growth right here. I'm going to try to separate this one because I do want to continue to grow this one. Granted, it is leggy, but it has even bigger sets of true leaves than this little one right here. And it looks like one of the leaves got damaged. So maybe that's why, but like I said, I just really didn't plant so well this year. Again, first timer, but I really should have planted a lot more seeds in order to have more seedlings to choose from. So live and learn. Anyway, let's get started on these. Okay, plant tags are ready. Now I'm just gonna get the pots ready for the seedlings. Okay, so I decided to put this Sun Gold tomato back in the original cells because it was just really small and I really didn't think it needed this big of a pot, so I put it back in there. And then this one, this Aunt Molly's ground cherry, even though there isn't any other seedling in the tray, so it's not competing for space, I do want to just kind of bury it a little deeper in here, just because the legginess, I don't think it's helping. So I'm going to just do that real quick and put it back in there. And maybe this one grows. If not, at least I have some other ones that look a little bit more promising. I'm just gonna adjust this one real quick. Okay, so I just basically put it in a lot deeper and we'll see what happens with that one. Not super hopeful, but worth a try. Okay, so I'm just gonna put this aside for now. Moving on to my onions and my spinach. Apparently spinach does not like to be messed around with, transplanted, or touched too much, so I'm just gonna leave it alone. There's only 2 in this cell and then 1 back here, and when I looked underneath, there wasn't that many roots, so I don't really think it's time to move these up. I'm gonna leave those alone. The onions over here, however, this one has toppled over, as you can see, and they're growing really long, so I was suggested to just chop off a little bit of it so that it can focus on the bulbs underneath the soil. I think that's what I'm gonna do, and I don't think I'm gonna transplant these or put these into the bigger cells because, again, not much root development. This one has a little something coming out, but other than that, there's not much to make me think that they are needing a bigger upgrade. So I'm gonna leave them alone, chop them up, and then they also have, I wanna say these were the seed leaves, so the first things that emerge, and then they're just kind of dried up now and really spindly, so I might remove those as well carefully, hopefully. And yeah, that's what I'm gonna do for these. So let me do that real quick. Okay, I'm just gonna clean my shears real quick. This will also hopefully prevent the other ones from just like toppling over like that one did. Oh man, this feels so wrong, but I'm gonna do it. Okay, maybe like right here. I don't know what I'm doing. Let's do that and hope for the best. And then this one's already toppled over, but I'm just gonna chop it too. And then I'm gonna remove the dried up little bits. I don't know what I expected, but the fact that it already smells like onions is kind of crazy to me. This is what I'm left with. Again, didn't touch the spinach. I'm scared to. And then the onions, got a nice little haircut. And then I did add a little bit of soil at the base of the one that flopped over just to stabilize it a little bit. Was that the right thing to do? I don't know. But here we go. Onions are done. So now I've got this mess of flowers that I started inside. I've got Zinnia, a Morning Glory variety, and another one over here. Like, I don't even know what the heck this is. This looks insane. They're all tangled up. I also have more. I don't even know if this is normal, like for them to look like this at this stage. And like, at what point do they start putting out flowers? I have no idea. This is not what I expected this growth to look like so far. And they're all tangled up. So yeah, let me see what the roots look like real quick. Okay, definitely just put a bunch of dirty water all over the floor. But anyway, they do have some roots in here. So I think I can separate these. Again, I don't really know what they're meant to look like at this stage, so I'm just gonna look that up real quick and see if mine's look sort of normal. Let me check this one. Okay, so same thing. They do have some roots. They're circling the bottom, so whether this growth up top is normal, I do think they can be separated and thinned out a little bit, but let me do some research and I'll be right back. Okay, so here's the situation. The zinnias are fine. If anything, I could pinch the tops so that they can start becoming a little bit more bushy, but I might leave that alone. However, I am gonna separate the ones that have more than one in one cell because, yeah, the roots are definitely getting tangled up and I don't want that. The Morning Glories apparently grow like this. They're a vining type of plant and it's normal, but they are getting tangled up in each other, so I'm gonna separate them just so they have a little bit more room to grow. And yeah, that's where we're at right now. So I'm gonna do that real quick. I already have prepared some pots and some fresh seed mix. So yeah, pretty much nothing to it but to do it. For these zinnias, they're just like the tomatoes apparently, and you can bury the stem a little deeper in order to kind of fix your legginess. So that's what I'm gonna do. This was the seed leaves and these are the true leaves. So I might go like either right here underneath the seed leaves, or I might just bury those completely and go up to here, which would be right below the first set of true leaves. So I'm gonna just try to do that for these because I just want them to grow a little stronger. I'm afraid that they'll like start toppling over from being so leggy and thin. So that is what I'm gonna do here. Well, I'm gonna bury them as deep as I can in this pot. Okay, that is about as deep as I could go because yeah, I reached the top of the pot. However, I think that's much, much better. Like the stem was literally like all the way this length. So I think that's an improvement and I'm gonna call it good. This one is super leggy, so I'm just gonna, again, do the same thing, basically pot it in as deep as I possibly can. Apparently if you just drop the ones that are tangled up like this from a height that's like sort of safe, they might separate easier. No. Oh, yeah, that worked a little bit. Kind of worked. Let's try that trick one more time. Maybe it's because these are too tangled, but I'm just gonna keep going with my fingers. There we go. Okay, finally time to move on to the morning glories. These are a little bit intimidating, I'm not gonna lie, because yeah, they're just super tall right now and viney, and I just hope that I can separate them without totally messing them up. But this is the Morning Glory Mammoth variety. Plenty of roots here, definitely gonna give them some space by separating them into their own little pots. Okay, so here's one. I think I might give some support to the ones that are super viney and long, like maybe like a stick or something, to encourage them to wind up on that rather than on each other and on my furniture. But these don't like to be buried deeply like the tomatoes and the zinnias do. Apparently you can rot the stems, so I am literally just putting it back in right where the soil level was, but now the roots can grow, nothing else is in here, so hopefully they thrive. And I'm just gonna keep repeating that for all of them. Why does this seed mix have so many sticks in it? As far as I know, the seed starting mix is supposed to be like very loose without any big chunks so that you don't accidentally suffocate your seeds or prevent them from sprouting by blocking them. But I found like, look at another one. I found like several large sticks in this brand so far, so I might not repurchase this next year. Because the first brand, here's another one. The first brand from my original video I didn't find a single stick. But like, what the heck? Yeah, that's annoying. I mean, I guess at this point it might be fine because the seeds have sprouted and I have seedlings now and they're established. But if I had used this from the beginning and there was like a seed maybe near it or buried a little bit deeper underneath it, it might not even have grown. Yeah, good to know. This one's really tiny, but super cute. I ran out of seed starting mix. Awesome. Okay, time to pivot. I did a very quick Planty Panic Google search, and it basically says that I don't really have to have seed starting mix as long as the roots aren't too fragile and they have at least one set of true leaves. So again, not the seed leaves. If they still have that, probably wouldn't be best to use anything other than seed starting mix. But what I've got left and what I'm still working on all have at least one true set of leaves. So I think I'll be okay to do something else, as long as it drains really well and it's not too wet or compacted or has any like big chunks of anything in it. So I have this here, which I pre-made a while ago. This is a tub of basically potting soil and perlite. And this is something I keep on hand for my own houseplant collection, which is a lot of tropical plants, and those need well-draining soil as well. And I'll typically add to this, so I'll add big chunks of orchid bark, I'll add charcoal pieces, even more perlite, but this is before I do all that. So I think this will be okay. It's very loose, there's no big chunks in it, and it's what I've got. So I'm gonna have to try to make it work. So I'm just gonna be using this. Crisis averted. Hopefully. I ran out when I was almost done with my morning glories, and I really just have these two left. Started this one, had nothing for this. So I'm just gonna do that real quick, show you what I've got, and then what I still have left. This is a little drier, so maybe I'll pre-moisten it, but for now, since this one was basically almost done, I'm just gonna leave that one alone. And done. Okay, I am just grabbing any little chunks of the stuff that I see here that are maybe too big to pass the test, but honestly, this is smaller than what I found in my seed starting mix from earlier, so I feel like I'll be all right. One or two chunks hopefully won't hurt the cause. All right, moving on to the next group of seedlings, also flowers. I've got some Sparky Marigolds, some Crackerjack Marigolds, and some very, I don't know, emotionally unstable candy tuft over here. All right, first up, the Crackerjacks right here in the middle. They clearly have their first sets of true leaves, except they are super leggy. I don't know if you can tell, but yeah, they're kind of leggy. However, I can bury these deeply in the soil and stem will just create more roots, just like the tomatoes and the zinnias. So basically, they'll keep growing like nothing ever happened, so I think I can fix those. The candy tuft over here, I don't know if it's supposed to look like this. I kind of tried to look up some pictures. I think mine are just a little sad and not doing too well. This one completely gave up. It's like flopping over. And I don't know, I think maybe I can support it or just keep it going and see what happens. Even though these are leggy as well, they don't grow roots from the stem. So yeah, nothing much I can do about that. And finally, we have the Sparky Marigold, or lack thereof. I have this empty cell, and wait for it, this empty cell and this empty cell of Sparky Marigolds. I don't know what happened. I'm thinking it was a problem with the seeds and not a problem with necessarily how I grew them or what I did with it, because although, yeah, these over here have some legginess issues and maybe they didn't germinate as well either, as well as they should have, they still germinate. They had the same lighting conditions and the same watering, but yeah, the Sparky Marigold didn't come through for me once. So I think it was a problem with the seeds. They just ghosted me. I don't know. But am I starting these over? No. Honestly, I just have way too many other things going on and I just can't be bothered. So these cells are now open real estate. Maybe I'll try the Sparky next year, maybe not. At least I have the Crackerjack Marigold, and I think those will be successful in some way, so it's better than nothing. And maybe I'll use the cells for a totally different type of seed, but if I'm being honest, probably not. I don't think I'm sowing any more seeds this year. Maybe at least not until the fall if I do some fall crops, but I think I'm good on this. So what's next? Again, I'm just going to forget about the Sparky Marigold. I'm going to bury the Crackerjacks a little bit deeper and separate them as well so that they can have their own little cell to, you know, fill out with all the roots. And for the candy tuft, I'm just going to be super gentle and separate them because maybe they're also competing for space. I don't know. Again, I'm not sure if they're just like having their own personal crisis or if it was due to my care, but I'm just going to try my best and see what happens. They're just going to have to get with the program and deal with it like the rest of us, honestly. I might prop them up and maybe that'll help, but I'm definitely going to separate them from these cells, and yeah, that's next. Okay, so what I've decided to do, because the candy tuft basically just looks pretty sad. I don't really want to pot them yet. I'm just gonna separate them and hope that they continue to grow and fill this size out first. And then if that happens, then I will pot them. So that's what I'm just gonna do real quick. I'm gonna add some soil to these other cells. Actually put it back in the tray first, hold on. There we go. And yeah, I'm just gonna hope for the best with these, but trial and error for everything, really. Okay, so here's one. Just gonna put it over here. Here's a second one. Very little root system, so I'm not super duper hopeful for these candy tufts, but might as well try while we're here. Okay, and then this third one, I'm just gonna leave it alone in here. This might also be one of those plants that are just better left to direct sow outside. I have no idea. I don't remember what the seed packet said, but I think it said something along the lines of like, you can start these indoors. You don't necessarily have to, but don't quote me on that. So maybe next year I will try outdoors directly. We'll see. Maybe I'll try something completely different next year. So here are all the separated candy tufts. Again, looking kind of sad, but if something happens, that's great. If not, we'll survive. They won't, but we will. Oh, I forgot to show you guys how many things I've already up-potted and set up over here, so one sec. Obviously, we've done a lot so far. I've got a lot of cells. One thing I will say is that next year I'm going to order those cells that have all the trays like attached in one rather than these loose pots, because first of all, rewriting every single plant tag a million times is very annoying. And second of all, I think it'll just be easier to keep like all of the collections of plants together. Like I could just put all my zinnias like this, just in one, so that I'm not kind of like shuffling them around so much. And I think it'll just help with organization in general, but I'm working with what I had this year, and hindsight is 2020 or whatever people say. So for now, I think this is good. And yeah, I have a couple of things left. I've got lettuce and I've got peas to show you. So let's move on to that. All right, almost to the finish line. Last up is my lettuce, my peas, and some peppers over here. First up, let's talk lettuce. Honestly, it's looking pretty good. I mean, I've got a lot going on. This was a little bit of a passion project because I dropped the seed tray right after I had finished sowing all the seeds, and everything just kind of went everywhere. I put all the soil back in, and then I added more seed on top of that so I could ensure that each cell would have seeds in it. It was a whole mess. It's in the video, but it was a little tragic. Anyway, now I see different types of lettuce leaves, but honestly, I don't know what's what. One of them was a lettuce mix anyway, so whatever, lettuce is lettuce. So I'm just happy that, you know, I've got good growth here. A lot of things online are saying to thin them, so basically cut the ones that look a little weaker and let the other ones kind of grow and flourish, but I want as much lettuce as I can. So what I think I'm gonna do is gently and carefully separate as many as I can into their own cells so that they can just continue to grow and get ready indoors a little while longer before I can get these out there. So that's what I'm gonna do with the lettuce. Now, as for the peas, they are full on thriving. Like, these things grow so fast. Honestly, I can see why some people suggest just to grow these outdoors from the jump and not even bother indoors, because this is kind of crazy. However, I'm super excited because I'm growing two different types. I'm growing the golden sweet and the melting sugar snap, and I hear that both are really yummy for snacking on. So yeah, now I just gotta figure out what I'm supposed to do with this. Like, am I supposed to support it indoors for now? I don't know if I'm supposed to pot these up, both. Who knows at this point, but I am excited about their level of enthusiasm. Like, this is what I want. This is what we wanted to see. And finally, these little bell peppers off to the side over here are just taking their sweet time. They only have one set of true leaves, so I'm not going to be touching them. They just need some patience, and hopefully they continue to grow. Okay, Google to the rescue again. So apparently I can do both. I can pot these up, meaning I can separate them so that they have their own space and their own room to grow, and I can also hopefully support them indoors before I make the move to start hardening them off and take them outside. I don't want to harden them off yet just because I kind of want a little bit more of the rest of my things ready so that I can do that all at once, because hardening off is apparently like super annoying. And yeah, if I can do it more efficiently by hardening off a bunch of things at once, that's what I want to do. So I'm going to stake these up and also separate them. And then, yeah, the only other thing is that I'm running out of the cells that I'm using, like the bigger pots, and all I have left are these, but they're super cute because my kids have decorated them with some stickers. Adorable. So I'm going to use these for the peas first. When I run out, I'll figure out what I can do for the lettuce. But yeah, so that's what's next. I'm going to go with the golden sweet peas first. Okay, so let's see. They are super, super tangled over here. Shoot. Okay, ooh, some of these shriveled up too. Maybe I don't have as many as I thought. We'll see. Okay, so this belongs over here. What the heck? Okay, so over here, I freed up a few of the golden sweet. So I'm gonna grab those carefully. I'm just kind of like scooping them out from the bottom. They have a lot of roots though, so I'm trying to be careful. Oh, that's so cool. You can still see like the seed, like the outside shell of it or whatever you call that. That's so cool. Anyway, yeah, look at these roots. They were definitely ready to move on. They're all circled up in there together. I hope I don't like mess this up, but oh my goodness. I'm so nervous right now. I feel like I'm killing these roots. Honestly, I'll be surprised if any of these survive at this point because I am not having too much luck with getting these roots separated. Okay. So we've got something here. This one is free. So I'm gonna put this one into the pot. Bury that little seed thing again. Oh, maybe I need some more soil though. Hold on. I'm just gonna add some more of the seed starting mix on top. Okay, so here is one. And I'll figure out the supports later. For now, I'm just gonna keep going. Okay, so I just finished all the golden sweet, and so now I'm going to be doing the melting sugar snap. It looks like I only have one good one here in this cell because this one's actually dried up. I don't know what happened here, but this one is also not looking too good either. It's really crispy. I don't know how some of these are so unevenly watered, but I do have this strong one here, so got that one. Okay. So there's that. So yeah, upon further inspection, as things happen, I did notice that these melting sugar snaps, wait, I've been saying sugar snap this whole time. They're actually called melting sugar snow. Okay, so anyway, melting sugar snow peas. I thought I had a bunch, but I actually only had 3 and 2 of them are dry. So this one I don't think is salvageable. The stem is super withered away, and this one is like on its way out, but I am just still going to keep it because then I'll only have one. I'm going to try my best. This one is clearly gone, so I'm gonna try to save this one at the back. I was so confident in these peas, and now look at them proving me wrong like not even 10 minutes later, but it is what it is. So yeah, this one just dried out for whatever reason, which is weird because everything else was fine, so I'm not sure why these two, like, you know, started to dry so quickly. I don't know what. Maybe they didn't get enough light, but everything was pretty even, so I don't know, but these things happen. These leaves are like really dry on this one, so you see how crispy these are? Not looking too good for these, but I mean, we'll see what happens. I'm gonna just leave it in this little pot and hopefully it grows, but if not, we're putting all our bets on this one here. Just the one that looks healthy and long, so. All right, so there's that, and the peppers will stay because yeah, they're taking their time, like I said. They don't even have any true leaves yet. So yeah, this one still has the seed, the seed pod on it. This one has one extra new leaf. This one is starting to do a little something, but not quite there yet. So patience is the name of the game with these peppers. I'm just gonna clean up and wrap this up. Can't forget about the lettuce. I've already started thinning them. I also am running out of these bigger pots, so I'm just gonna end up putting them back in the original cell size, and hopefully because there's only gonna be one per cell, that'll be enough to kind of encourage it to continue to grow since it won't be competing for so much space. So I've got 4 already separated here. I'm just gonna keep going. Whoa. That one's got like a really long root. You see that? So again, I'm just kind of scooping them out like this. And then all the roots are just coming right with them. Okay, so since I've got a lot going on here, I am gonna start potting these up first before I continue because it's driving me crazy that I'm running out of space. So 1 second, be right back. Okay, empty cell tray. And I'm gonna just start putting them back in now. Boom, lettuce. Okay, so I've separated every single one. As you can see, they're all in their individual little cells and we're good to go. So I hope that they just continue to grow here now that they don't have any competition. And I hope I get to eat some good, yummy salad soon. So at this point, I definitely want to fertilize my seedlings. I have this all-purpose Miracle-Gro plant food. It's good for flowers, vegetables, all that stuff. But I need to dilute it a lot because seedlings are very sensitive, apparently, to fertilizer. So I'm going to be, like, making the mildest dose I can make. I just want to give them, like, a little bit of a boost while they're still indoors before I take them outside. So it looks like this. It's kind of a powdered form. And where is it? Oh, it's under the table. I also have my gallon of rainwater, so I'm going to just real quick do the math and figure out a mild dose using 1 gallon of water. Okay, so to keep it gentle for these tiny little baby plants, I'm going to be doing, what is it? 3/4 of a teaspoon per gallon of water. So I'm just going to have a 1/4 teaspoon here, so I'm just going to do 3 of these. There's 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so very mild. Very demure, very cutesy. I don't want to kill them. And I don't want them to basically get overwhelmed with all the nutrients because they're not ready for it. So let me just shake this up real quick. Okay, so I'm going to be using this watering can just to make my life a little easier, which honestly has a little bit of water in here anyway, so it'll dilute this even further, which is good because again, I don't want to shock them. And now I have to figure out how to water these. These are fine because these have this tray, like a bottom watering tray, so any excess water will drain to the bottom, but these, I don't have that situation. What I could do is put them in like a bigger bucket first and then water, and that should be okay. And just kind of keep them in there for now and then take them out. They also do come with these little like trays, but they're small and it's going to be like 40 of them. I don't even know how many of these I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. It's going to be like 60 of these little things, so I don't even know if I want to use that, but I do need to water them and let them drain. So I have to find a solution for that soon. Okay, so for lack of a better solution, I am going to be using these individual tiny little trays just to catch any excess water for now while I'm watering it this first time. And I'm just going to have to figure out something better later on, but yeah, I'm just going to roll with this for now. So I'm going to go through and quickly water everything. Okay, so I just finished watering every single one of those and it was very tedious and not as efficient as it should be. I really need to figure out like something big that I can plop them all in and bottom water them in, because yeah, that was not the move. Honestly, too, if I bottom water, it'll probably encourage the roots to grow down and hopefully, you know, strengthen the plant and just create a healthier plant overall. So bottom watering is definitely the way to go. I just need to figure it out because I'm working with what I have. So that'll be something to figure out for the next time I have to water these for sure. So this is where I decided to put the pots now that they're too tall to fit where I had them previously. And these to the left in the tub are some marigold and some peas that I decided to stake up. I just used what I had on hand. So these are some popsicle sticks, some twine, a little tape, and I started to kind of trellis some of them. As you can see, they're a little floppy right now, but anyway, this is what I ended up doing. And here I just added a few more, so the tub is completely full, and so is this little makeshift shelf that I have to the right of it. It's just gonna have to work for now. As for the lettuce, I decided to clear off a bottom shelf where I keep most of my houseplants, and I think they'll be good here until I have to harden them off. Alright, so definitely a late start, but we're growing kinda, and it's better than nothing. We will take any wins we can get. If you enjoyed this video and my total lack of preparation, please consider giving it a like and a sub. It will really help my channel out. I post weekly content here on YouTube, garden updates, houseplant experiments, and honestly, the occasional plant mishap. And if you haven't already, make sure you check out the original seed starting video where, again, this all started. So I'll leave that in the link below in case you didn't catch it at the beginning, as well as any other products or things that I used today in case you're wondering or interested in what I use. Also, I'm super curious. If you're starting a garden this year for the first time or the millionth time, what is one thing you are super excited to grow? I know for me, it's 100% the tomatoes. I just cannot wait to try one. I know that they're gonna taste so much better than store-bought, and yeah, that is mine, and let me know what yours is. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!